Look, we've got to start with Meghan and Harry. Of course, they went on this trip to the UK. There was a bit of will they, won't they? Harry goes by himself, and then suddenly Meghan Markle with the kids in they trot as well. But there have been some reports that the family reunion that they had with the King and the Queen may have not gone as planned for Meghan. There are some suggestions that it probably wasn't warm and fuzzy. I can't imagine why, Maureen. But what's your take on this reunion?
You know, the reporting, Danica, is coming so fast and so many conflicting narratives. And most interestingly, and we've been talking about this on The Nerve all this week, the briefings from Harry's camp are differing from the briefings from Meghan's camp. This is significant, but because when you see a high-profile married couple who are working with stakes this high, the new question is, does Harry really have a way back in? It was briefed that Meghan would be joining Harry last week in the UK for the entire week with the children. In fact, she only showed up at the very end of the week. No photos taken of Meghan, which nullifies her claims, Harry's claims that they can't possibly return to the United Kingdom without royal security because the press won't leave them alone. And the reporting now is out of People magazine that which is her preferred outlet, historically very friendly to her. So they clearly have a good relationship. That Meghan has always let Harry take the lead with his family. She's supportive of him having a good relationship with his family. Harry's camp, meanwhile, my colleague at the Daily Mail, Alison Boshoff, is reporting that a source who is not quite sympathetic to the Sussexes, listen to this phrasing, it's fascinating. What I quote, when Harry was madly in love with Meghan.
Oh.
He was happy to let her take the lead, was. Now, that same source said, the veil has been lifted.
Wow. Okay. So in the past tense was, which makes me wonder then, just to your point, because if there's two different narratives coming out of either camp, and there have been suggestions that perhaps the marriage is a little bit rocky at the moment. They don't, every business venture that they have gone into has been an absolute diabolical disaster. I just wonder then, what does that say maybe about the state of their marriage at the moment?
Well, I think you also have, by you, I mean the collective you, all of us have to look at their marriage as what it also is. As you just put it, it's a brand. It's a collective brand. The only truly successful outings they have had, and they're a media brand now as well, right? So they cannot plead privacy when you publish a best-selling memoir in which you divulge all manner of your family's intimate secrets. The gloves are off. When you sit for a Netflix documentary in which you depict yourself as the most hounded couple of the modern age, and in which Meghan mocked the late Queen with that deep mocking curtsy and compared the British royal family to the American theme park franchise known as Medieval Times.
What if the biggest sign that Harry and Meghan's Hollywood chapter is struggling isn't another failed project, but the fact that people are now openly asking whether Harry is trying to find his way back to the royal family? That's exactly the conversation dominating royal headlines after their latest UK visit. The trip was surrounded by questions from the start. Harry arrived first, while Meghan and the children only appeared near the very end, despite earlier reports suggesting she would be there for the entire visit. Even more intriguing, royal commentators noticed that briefings from Harry's camp appeared to tell a different story than those coming from Meghan's camp. For many royal watchers, that's a major red flag, because when a high-profile couple starts pushing different narratives, speculation naturally turns to what's happening behind the scenes. Some commentators have even suggested Harry may now be looking for a path back into royal life. But if that's true, they believe it would likely have to happen without Meghan. The timing of all this has only fueled more speculation. Harry is still facing the fallout from his costly legal defeat against the publisher of the BBC, with reports suggesting the case could leave him responsible for millions in legal costs, depending on the final rulings. Add that to the couple's reported multi-million-dollar annual security expenses, their Montecito mansion, and the mixed performance of several business ventures, and commentators argue the financial pressure may be greater than ever. That's why some believe the recent reunion with King Charles wasn't simply about family. It may also have been about Harry exploring whether there is any path forward with the institution he once left behind. Commentator Maureen Callahan argued that Harry and Meghan are no longer viewed simply as a married couple, but as a media brand. After publishing, releasing their Netflix documentary, and publicly discussing private family matters, she suggested they can no longer claim the level of privacy they once demanded, because they've built much of their public image around sharing those personal stories. According to her analysis, the brand that once generated enormous interest has struggled to recreate that same success, leading some to question whether the couple's influence and income is beginning to decline. Perhaps the most striking claim came from reports suggesting palace sources have long believed there could eventually be a way back for Harry, but not necessarily for Meghan. Whether those reports are accurate remains unconfirmed, but they have sparked intense debate online. Commentators point to Meghan's lower approval ratings in Britain and Prince William's reportedly strained relationship with Harry as reasons why any reconciliation would face significant obstacles. Others believe Harry himself may simply be realizing that life outside the monarchy hasn't delivered the stability or success he expected. Of course, none of this confirms that a return is actually happening. These are claims, opinions, and interpretations from royal commentators and media reports, not official statements from Buckingham Palace or the Sussexes themselves. But after years of interviews, documentaries, memoirs, legal battles, and business setbacks, one question keeps getting louder. Is Harry trying to repair his relationship with the royal family because he genuinely misses home, or because the alternatives are becoming increasingly difficult? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. The Sussex story is entering another unpredictable chapter, and the world will be watching what happens next.
Yeah.
You know, karma is coming around for you. And I think it's coming around for both of them. As you stated, Every other media venture has been an abject failure. The money has run dry. Harry just lost a major lawsuit against the publisher of the Daily Mail. Make no mistake, in my belief, he was attempting to destroy the Mail. He and his cohort are now on the hook for about 67 million US dollars in their own legal fees. That's before what they're going to be ruled to pay in terms of the Mail's legal fees. They have a mortgage on the Montecito mansion. That's a $14 million mansion. The reported outlay for their private security from their own pockets is $4 to $5 million a year. They're out of money. In fact, they probably are bleeding money. What else? What other option does Harry have but to make it work with the royals?
That's it. Absolutely. I mean, how desperate can he be? He trashed the royals for years, and maybe he's thinking, oh, gee, that probably wasn't the brightest of ideas. And you mentioned the Daily Mail, and they had this fascinating article that said that Harry and Meghan might be eyeing off a Megxit reversal, that they might be looking to go back to Britain at some point. I mean, that would be truly extraordinary, Maureen, if that was the case. But I guess desperate times call for desperate measures.
You know, what's interesting about this too, Danica, is that the reporting out of the palace, out of King Charles's office at least, has always been there could perhaps be a way back for Harry, but it would be without Meghan. And I find it hard to believe that Meghan would really consider living in the UK, even part-time. Again, she is so loathed there, and she knows it. Their approval numbers are in the toilet. Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are among the most popular members of the British royal family, and William wants nothing to do with Harry. And I think, just my supposition would regard this newly attempted reconciliation as really a selfish, cynical ploy to save his own skin. I mean, I think it's got to be deeper than that. Harry cannot be happy. He lives up in Montecito, away from at least the urban hub of Los Angeles. He doesn't really have a job. He doesn't really have an infrastructure of a social life and friends. Every Hollywood heavyweight who had attempted to help the Sussexes has thoroughly been put off by them. So they are in quite a lonely place of their own making.
Yeah, they've done